Hey there! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while. I've been very busy being a college student. I'm very excited to start this next project, which I'm going to tell you about. First off, I'm going to be making a season 5 Catra cosplay. I'm going to be making the shirt a corset and then just having this attached to it. So that's going to be something new for me to learn, and I'm excited to share with you guys how I do it and what I'm learning. This will not be a tutorial. It's gonna be a work with me. I am not a professional in any case. Most of my solutions to problems are winging it and experimentation. So there's a lot of thoughts and processing that happens in my brain, and when I make videos I tend to ramble. So to minimize that, or to minimize your expectations, this is a work with me and not a tutorial. I do hope that if you watch this, you'd be able to learn a lot and be able to, if you needed some help with certain things, I hope I would be able to help, but I cannot promise that. It's not like my suit where I'm going to present it as a tutorial. I will probably just do a lot of time lapses and then explain it with an while I'm speaking over it. It is currently May, end of May, mid-May. The goal is that by the end of July, I will have it done so I can go to Otakon. I believe Otakon is at the end of July. If I'm wrong, that sucks. I have started researching how to do corsetry. I have a dear friend helping me out. Lori, if you're watching this, love you. Thank you so much for your help. That's about it for the intro. If I have to split it up into 2 parts, most of this is going to be figuring out corsetry, and like the rest of it should be pretty easy. I'm probably gonna wing most of that, which probably isn't great, but like I feel like I'm familiar enough with sewing that it doesn't matter too bad. Well, let's get into it.
Hello, let's get into it. For starters, here I'm just going to be cutting out the fabric, and the next one is me pinning it for my first mock-up. Let's talk pattern. I'm starting with the Arena Black Dolores pattern. It is a free PDF that you can download. I'll definitely be linking her stuff below. It's first of all a great resource if you're looking into making corsetry. I've also watched some of her YouTube videos and I found them very helpful. Watched the first couple just to get me started, but I ended up kind of basing things more on my own knowledge of sewing and what I like to do versus like what the pattern was intended for. And you'll see that as I go further and further into making this corset, it becomes less of the Dolores pattern and more of something based on the Dolores pattern. So the clip before this one was a little turnaround of my first mock-up. It was just generally like way too big. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. It just wasn't my size, which was weird because I thought I measured everything right. Guess I didn't. So I started number 2. Number 2, I kind of just tried to eyeball the sizing and bring it down. But of course, when you eyeball things and you don't actually measure them, that's not a sign for success. So number 2 was also faulty. I will talk more about that in the little check-in segment. This is also my first time doing grommets, so it was definitely a huge learning experience for this part. Howdy. So let's do a day 2 check-in. I know I was planning on doing mostly time lapses to minimize my rambles, but I feel like you miss a lot when you're just looking back and you're not actively looking at what someone's doing. I don't know. I personally find people's thought processes interesting. So I'm gonna share mine, and if you don't like it, you can just skip through the other parts where I'm actually working. So I finished. So, oh, it's upside down. Mock-up number 2. Mock-up number 1 was way too big. Basically just brought everything down like a size or 2 sizes. I wasn't super exact, which is probably bad, but it's fine for this. I don't really want to waste ink printing it out. I'm liking this one a lot more. It fits way better. And so because of that, I've moved to the next step, which would be the grommets and the lacing. Started working on the grommets. I have done 1 on this side, 2 on this side, or 3. I think for the final, I'm going to be using 5, but since this is a mock-up and I don't really want to waste my grommets, it's not a waste, but I just don't want to have to buy more. So I'm only gonna do 6 for this mock-up, because then again, it might not fit right and I might have to do a whole nother, and that leaves me with another 6 gone. So
I'm keeping my options open. At this point in time, I'm thinking that I might skip the boning and I might just do kind of like sandwich the fabric together and then pull it inside out and work like that. I don't know if I'll need the additional structure that boning gives that fabric alone can't. I will see what that is tomorrow. It is late, and we'll see how it shakes out. I'm really hoping that this is it, so I don't have to make another mock-up, because I used pretty much all of the leftover white that I had and I have no more blue, and I really don't want to have to hunt through my, well, I have a black fabric, but I'm thinking about using that for Catra, so I don't really want to use it on mock-ups, even though I think it would look cool to have a black corset. Like, that'd look sick, but I don't want to use nice fabric on this. It's supposed to be cheap. I hate making mock-ups. I feel like they're kind of a waste, but they aren't. They're actually very useful, but I'm lazy, so yeah. But anyway, that's basically it for today. I'm thinking maybe I will do just like, if I work a whole day, then I will do like a 5-minute check-in here. Let me know what you think about that as a formatting thing.
All right, let's finish up number 2. I'm just adding in the grommets here. Ultimately, number 2 did not fit me. It fit way better, but it did not fit me. It fit my size, but not me, if that makes any sense. And with a corset, you can't really have that. But that makes sense because I did eyeball the measurements, and that's not what you're supposed to do with corsetry. It's supposed to, you know, hold in what it wants in and out when it wants out, and it was not doing that. Third one's the charm. Let's start from scratch. I printed everything out. You can see me cutting it out and re-measuring myself a million gajillion times to make sure I do it right, because my measurements like fluctuate like really easy. So I wanted to, like, I don't know, I figured if I took a million measurements and averaged them, it would be better and closer than if I had not done that. I'm also, for this one, my first attempts were single layers of fabric, as the pattern originally is intended to be a single layer of fabric all around with boning on top. Here I cut out doubles of the fabric, so instead of 2, I cut out 4. And then I paired them up, and then I sewed the top and the bottom, and then I reversed them, and then sewed them together normally.
End of day 3, and I have mock-up number 3. You can't really tell on me because I can't do the grommets. It's like midnight. I can't wake up the entire household by hammering in grommets. But, you know, just based on like my hands, like putting it on, it's really hard because it's like 3 main points that you need it, and I only have 2 hands. But it fits so much better than the other 2. Maybe the 3 hours of repatterning was like worth it. It's really weird. Yeah, wow. Following, like, putting in all the effort up front makes it easier when you're actually making it. That's fucking crazy. I didn't realize that it was not just the width, but like the length measurements were like really important. That is also something I'm really learning, because that's really the biggest difference between what I've done in corset number 2 versus corset number 3 versus corset number 1. And it worked out beautifully. It fits so much better. If it's not perfect, it's like close enough. And that's really what I'm going for right now. I think with the 2-ply fabric, it looks really nice. You have to cut along the grain, so I think that gives enough support for what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the aesthetic of one, and I think that this is giving. The only thing that I have to fix up, ignore the threads, because obviously those will be cleaned up, but something weird happened with the bottoms and like zigzags. The back half is totally fine, but the inner part is like fuck you lucky. So I will be fixing that on the pattern. I think I might just extend them to make a really nice like pronounced point, because Catra has a pretty, I don't know, I'll look at her design again, but also I have, you know, stylistic liberties. So yeah, that's the only thing I really have to change on this one as of right now. I have to put in the grommets tomorrow, and then I'll try it in properly. Hopefully I'll be able to get a video of that. If I forget, sorry, but you know, I'll verbally explain whatever happens. I have to put in the grommets tomorrow, and then I'll be able to really tell anything else that I need to augment for this pattern specifically, because I think this one's the winner. I'm really excited, because also I took so much time to try and get each measurement just right, and I think I finally got it. and also that was a couple hours ago and I've eaten, and considering it still fits me, I think that's a really good sign. That's an encouraging sign for me as someone who has like measurements that shift a lot, that I can still wear it. Because like the biggest difference would be like the gap is a little, you know, bigger or smaller. Since it's so exact, we have a little more wiggle room in like that lacing, because if it's only a centimeter apart, not the end of the world.
Alright, so mock-up number 3 was a huge success. When I put in the grommets, I put it on my body form, and it looked great. I put it on me, and it fit just a little different. Like, there was a couple little tiny augmentations that I needed to do, but as a whole, it fit amazing. So, for this one, number 4, I decided to go in with my final fabric, which is a bold choice. Alright, let's talk. So today I made number 4. I thought it would be the final because number 3 was so close. But when I finished, and I did everything so fucking right. I ironed in between every step, well, except the sewing stage because I'm lazy and I'm being tired. But I figured I could do that later. Anyways, it just doesn't fit around me. Like everything, like the fit everywhere else is really good, but it doesn't go all the way to my back. The plan is for tomorrow, I will just take the length of these back pieces and then extend them however much the gap is, and I'll just like slice in half. This pattern does have a modesty panel, so actually now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering, did I actually make it fit right this time? And it's meant to have a couple, like a few, like I don't know, maybe like 2-3 inches gap. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's very likely, but I think for aesthetics, I'm going to just make a 7th panel for each side and extend it for the meet so they meet. So when it laces up all pretty and it meets there. I'm really gonna hope that that's gonna work for tomorrow. But if not, then I'll have to make it again. But if I do have to make it again, I just need a break for a couple of days, maybe like a week, just because it's frustrating to keep coming so close. But hey, I'm working with patterning, and patterning is sometimes tricky. On the plus side, I did get the point correct on the corset. There's a little bit of a divot because of the way that the way that the seam is, but there is a nice point here that makes it nice and even. And I'm glad I fixed that because that was a little, okay, I sewed it a little janky, but nothing too crazy like it was before. Everything pretty much meets up where it's supposed to, and that's really nice because that's not what happened with the other ones. So one new problem, but I fixed one other one, and this one was really easy to fix. Hopefully my new problem will also be easy to fix, and if not, I'll figure out a way around it because I think this really is my final once I iron it, because yeah, it's not looking, she's looking a little, I feel like I'm just always so close, like these last two, this one and the other one. Hopefully this one though, I can call it a night. Call it a day, call it a night, call it finished. Call it finished. Every time I try again, I get a little closer, one way or another. So that's all that really matters. Right, that's it for today. Goodbye. Alright, so here's me finishing up number 4. Unfortunately, number 4 was not the one that we went with. It just didn't match her character design enough, and it didn't fit me well enough for me to look past it. So here's just me finishing it up, but ultimately she did not stick with me to the final. I don't know what it is with this project and me and perfectionism, but boy, oh boy, did I want this to be perfect so bad. Hey, so end of day 5. I left the finalized corset in my room, but I have it down pat. I just have a few technical issues that I have to work out with. I think I have to expand the seam allowance because some reason things got jumbled, so that there was a couple seams that like popped. And I'm gonna do more precise marking before I cut. What I've been doing is I've just been cutting straight instead of marking it. So I will be marking my final. Long story short, as I'm going to be making one more, it will be the final because one, I'm going to redo the point
Well, I don't know if I'm going to redo the point. I keep saying that, oh, the point is fine, or the point needs to be redone. I haven't looked at Catra's character design in like a week, so I need to see how defined it is. Otherwise, I have to add in, for the grommets in the back, I've had an issue with them like bubbling. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a boning channel right on the edge and on like where they meet. How do I explain this? This is the corset. This is where they meet. This is where the grommets would go. I keep having it like wibble wobble fold over on itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a channel of boning here and here, and then there will be the grommets, and then I'll have another boning channel there, and that will give enough structure so that they don't flip flobble when there's tension. As far as everything else, it's pretty much perfect. I just have the issue of like something went wrong when I was cutting things out, and that's an easy fix. And as far as patterning goes, I think pretty much everything's perfectly patterned, except I have to double check the point and how extreme it is. That is easy peasy. Honestly, it was really easy to do it the first time, and if I have to redo it, it'll take like an hour max. I was really hoping that this one was going to be the last one, but that's all right if I have to do a little more work to get it where I want it to be. I really want this cosplay to be one that I am proud of, and I have made ones that I'm proud of, even though there was a lot of errors, but I know I can do it, and I'm like this close. So I'm gonna do one more, and if that one doesn't turn out perfect, we're just gonna go with it because it's gonna be close enough to perfect that I can keep it, and well, not keep it, but like wear it and use it as my final, even if there is room for improvement, because to a certain degree there's always going to be room for improvement. But I think I've come a long way from my first mock-up. Probably should have filmed footage of me wearing it when I had it on, but it is too late and I am too tired to go back up. I didn't film a lot. I didn't really work a lot today. It worked out all right. I think I will have to break this cosplay up into 2 or more videos to the minimum though, because this corset process took me so long, and I already, like unedited, I had like 44 minutes of footage, which is ridiculous. And that was yesterday. That was me checking yesterday, so that's not including today's progress stuff or this video here. Of course, it will be one video, and then the rest, or as much as I can fit in, will be another.
So, hey, let's do number 5. Number 5, at this point, I kind of have the entire process of what I like and what I don't like memorized. So for this one, I just fixed up the pattern, I brought in the bust, and I fixed the point. My biggest mistake here, this one could have been my last one if I had just brought up the back from the mid-hip line, because that's where this pattern ends, and that's not where Catra's design ends. So I ended up, spoilers, had to make a 6th one. Let's just go over my process, because at this point I have it memorized and drilled into my brain, because I've made 6 freaking corsets that are basically the same thing. 3 of them in the same color. Anyways, all right, let's go. So first of all, fix up the pattern to fit me, to fit the aesthetic need I have, the basic pattern. Fix that. Then cut out the interfacing, then cut out the fabric. Stick the facing onto one of the sides of the fabric. Then you want to sandwich them on the wrong sides. Basically the sandwich will be interfacing, fabric, fabric. You sew those together, cut down the seam, iron them really well, reverse it, iron that really well. Do that for each panel. Then sew them all together. Then you want to measure out the distance. This one I needed help with, shout out to my mom. Measure space between the top of your bust line, waistline, and like the bottom of the corset to figure out how much space you need the panels to take in the middle. Then make those panels, put in the grommets. I also switched to smaller grommets for this one because, shout out to Lori, she was like, nah, you're using like industrial ones for curtains. You're not using clothing grommets. So did that, switched to those, and then I also put in a boning channel at the end. That is the general process of it. For the final one, I ended up adding in boning in between. Every other panel, I ended up adding boning. Here's me fixing up the pattern one last time to bring in the bust once more and make sure that everything lined up properly. Then for the final, the only big difference is that I added in 2 lines of boning in the front, and then from then on, every other seam had 1 boning channel that followed the existing seam. So to seal in the boning, I just did a straight stitch next to the pre-existing seam, so basically everything was like a pocket. So you'd slip in the boning, then I'd sew that line shut, and then I'd sew the 2 panels together, if that makes any sense. I hope it does.
I know I didn't record as much as I probably should have, but she is done. This is me wrapping up the video. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would to get this right, and it's still not entirely right, but it is what I want it to be, and it is good enough considering I don't want to buy more fabric. Sorry about the light there. So I ended up doing so many versions. I ended up with 6 total, but this fits me really well. I think I had my mom lace me up, and she didn't tie it tight as it should be. I think it can be just a little more tighter, but even loose, it fits really well. And I feel like everything's in place. It's not falling out. I'm not falling out. I feel secure, and that's what's most important in a garment like this. So for this video, I'm gonna end it here because goodness gracious, it took me forever to get this, and my raw footage last time I checked was like 30 minutes, and that's all time lapses. So like, could you imagine the hours I put into this? It's bonkers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry if it got a little long. Hopefully editing maybe halves the time, but I can't say until I've edited it, and it's honestly probably about an hour worth of footage, so I didn't end up being able to record as much at the end because my phone didn't have enough space because I have a lot of videos. But she's pretty much done. I will roll the video now.
Woohoo, we did it. So basically the only thing, I'm really happy with this, but the only thing I would change would be the lift in the back for that 1 panel, but otherwise she's beautiful, love it.
And next video I will be doing the black portion here, and hopefully the tights as well, but depending on how long the black portion takes, you know, it may just be the black portion or it may be the black portion and the ears. It just depends on how long my footage takes. I'm going to try and keep these videos to like 30 minutes maximum, because although I am experimenting and learning a lot of stuff, I don't want these videos to be crazy long, especially when for things that aren't this corset, because everything else is going to be really easy, and I'm just going to bang it out because I've made my Catra ears before, and I've also made pants before. I've never made fitted pants like this, but I don't think it should be that hard if I get the right fabric. And I use a pair. Haha, that's spoilers. I'm actually not gonna say what I'm gonna do until next time. So you'll just have to watch my next video if you're actually interested in my progress on this cosplay. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye.